There was an ogre attacking the city, and all that stood in its way were two frightened guards, Richie and Clayton, and a large stone wall built around the city in case of such dire circumstances. Now, these two were no ordinary guards. They were, in fact, the lowest of the low in strength, experience and looks. Though, mind you, looks don't typically help in the case of fighting ogres, unless you are a pretty damsel with light blue eyes and long brown hair, but that is neither here nor there, because both were, in fact, boys, if not young men. And Hedersburg, the city that now finds itself under attack, has barely any fine damsels to distress. Hedersburg is a lowly city that exists well beyond many of the other cities constructed by man, and pushes closer and closer to the woodlands and mountainous areas, very far away from any more distinguishable and, need I say, mentionable cities in the country of Blythe. Hedersburg is nothing in comparison to the shining city of Belzadad or the capital city Courage, but it does have its finer points. It has a sizable army within for protection. Though today that doesn't seem to matter, nor do the other finer points if the city is levelled by an ogre. For those who do not know, ogres are massive. If you've never seen one in real life, you have no idea. 10 to 15 feet tall and around 2,000 pounds. Ogres are not fat, oh no, those tales are reserved for children and ninnies. Ogres are not dumb, though comparatively to man they are somewhat lacking. But what they lack in intelligence, they more than make for with brute strength and a willingness to destroy anything and everything within a 5-mile radius, the average ogre anyway. Besides that, they have dark grey skin and large tusk-like teeth coming out from their lower jaws. Ogres have a rather impressive underbite. If I may move on and indulge your curiosity further, an ogre can smash through a stone wall, like the one around Hedersburg city, in about 30 minutes. About 30 men can kill an ogre in an hour. The more men, the faster the takedown. Luckily, the city of Hedersburg contains 30 officers and 45 lower-ranking soldiers. However, most are on lunch. As per natural for most soldiers in Hedersburg, at 12 p.m. they all sit down for a hearty lunch. And of course they have an hour lunch, which comes standard when serving your country. Of course, the major problem is that they have only been gone for 15 minutes, and because of the strict rules of the Soldiers' Union, will not be back for another 45. So Hedersburg has about 25 minutes till the wall comes crashing down. It took me that long to explain to you the logistics. And the other officers have about 40 minutes left on their lunch break. Now, I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, well, who cares about a stupid lunch break? These soldiers should save this town. Well, in most circumstances you'd be right. But the people of Blythe are dictated by a certain set of rules which restricts them from doing anything practical. I'm sorry, that is my own bitterness coming out. By now it seems that Hedersburg has 15 minutes, and of course the self-serving soldiers have 30 more minutes of break time. The people of Hedersburg are, as you can imagine, genuinely upset over this. Why did they take their break at the same time? But no one can hear them over the loud booming and crumbling of their city wall. Ogres tend to live in forests and large caves, typically in colonies up to 10. And this ogre seemed very angry. As typical of many ogres, this one brandished a small, thick tree as a club. And without further ado, the ogre has now thrown his first cabbage stand out into the civilian homes, knocking down at least 2 buildings. They are just as angry as the ogre, and some are even trying to fight the ogre themselves. Bad idea. Richie and Clayton, our only line of defence, were cowering in a corner of the unbroken wall. Did I forget to mention ogre skin is near impenetrable? I did? I'm sorry, must have slipped my mind. Without any experience and an excess of pee in their trousers, the two had resigned to cowering in their corner, hoping to somehow avoid death.
What do we do?
Give up. We can't defeat this thing until the rest of the soldiers come back. Wait a minute.
What?
Do you see that pink object? It's running straight at us.
What is it?
I don't know. I hope it's not another ogre.
The pink object was fast, much faster than an ogre. Its gallop was farther than a horse even. It was a pink flash on the plains separating the forest and the city. The ogre swiped with the tree branch and knocked over some more houses, also breaking its tree club. The ogre threw what was left of the club, and it landed into the city, taking out the church. It seemed that the city of Hedersburg was finished. However, the pink blur finally reached the city wall, and it rammed full speed into the ogre, sticking it with what seemed to be a lance-sized horn. The ogre toppled over and landed on another cabbage stand. There was a large hole in its leg reaching through the other side. Richie and Clayton looked up from their panic. They finally realized what it was. It was a pink unicorn. It was an angry, almost scary-looking pink unicorn. Unicorns are taller than the average horse and typically have a long, spiral horn, but this one was different. Its horn had been the size of a lance. I say had because it began to shrink from its lance size and returned to a regular unicorn horn. The ogre tried to stand up, which is very hard for a beast whose leg had a huge hole in it. However, it did manage to turn around and face the unicorn. It howled. My guess is it wanted to scare the unicorn away, but the unicorn just glared at the beast, not flinching, not blinking.
Oh, really? For that you're going to die?
The ogre picked up the non-damaged cabbage stand and threw it at the unicorn, but the unicorn jumped high into the air, landed on the cabbage stand and rebounded up higher, far above the ogre's head. The ogre looked up to the sun. Its eyes narrowed as the unicorn rose into the air. It was hard to tell from the commotion, but it seemed like the unicorn whispered an incantation that changed its horn. The horn turned from a regular horn to a large, broad sword, and then there was a huge sloosh sound, and blood splattered upon the dead bodies and witnesses. The unicorn had split the ogre in two. Its natural pink body changed to crimson as it soaked up the ogre's blood. It was hard to see, but underneath the blood the unicorn carried an uncharacteristic gaze, unbecoming for a unicorn. It had such hate and loathing in its eyes. It didn't seem like a unicorn at all. It was more like a man. The horn shrunk back to a regular horn. Panting, the unicorn walked closer towards the gathering crowd. The crowd shrunk back.
Don't be afraid. All I want is a bath and a meal, and I'll leave.
In the crowd's defense, it was quite unusual. Unicorns never spoke. Unicorns never slayed ogres. Unicorns weren't full of hate. Something was different, unusual, terrifying. And equally uncharacteristic, especially for a citizen of Hedersburg, a child, a young girl, stepped forward amongst the commotion and wiped the blood away from the unicorn's eyes.
I'll look after you.
Thank you, I would really appreciate it.
The unicorn's eyes softened, as if it was truly a man and not a vicious beast. What? Who was this creature?